Saturday night, February 5th, 2022, was the first night of the removal of restrictions related to corona in Denmark. There is no more news of wearing masks, nightclubs, and bars are reopening. And that night was a very special night for the people of Denmark, supposed to celebrate that night after passing, the days of quarantine and the difficult conditions that this advice had created for the people. Everyone has the right to have a good night. That night was the beginning of the end of corona in Denmark, and also the beginning of the end of the life of a girl whose murder shocked people for a long time. Hello, welcome to another video with me. In today's video, we want to examine the case of Mia Skytte Hansen. For today's case, we have to go to the city of Aalborg in Denmark, which is known for its peace and low crime rate. But at the same time, there are events in this case. I'm sure you've heard of Mia Skytte Hansen. Like many others in Denmark, she wanted to celebrate the night of February 5th, 2022. Mia and her friend were supposed to go to a nightclub and drink and dance and have fun. He had another excuse. That was that he had just finished his second semester of university in the field of nursing, and his life was very normal during that time. She was packing her things, her relationship with her boyfriend was great, her work was good, her studies in the university were good, and now the only thing that could make her happier was that the coronavirus is over. Mia and her friend were 5 people that night, and they were all girls. Their boyfriends were not supposed to be friends. With them, it was a cold night in Aalborg, but they knew that if they went to the club, drank and danced, they would be quite warm, so they didn't take warm clothes with them at all, and they wore very cool and summery clothes. She was wearing a pair of comfortable sneakers. She had a very small handbag in her hand. It's normal for her to choose such clothes. It's natural that she'll be hot in the club, but she should have something warm with her, which unfortunately she didn't have. His friends go to a street that is famous for its bars and clubs, and this street is filled with dancing, joy, and singing until 6 in the morning. They drink a bit of beer. After that, in order to dance more and have more fun, they decide to go to a club, and they choose a club called the Wolf Club. Generally, the clubs and bars there are such that the last drink is at 5 o'clock. They served me that now the other side can give me as much as he wants until he leaves the club at 6, and they have to close the door at 6. Mia dances and drinks non-stop from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, when they tell her to leave the club, that's it. He was so drunk that he didn't listen to the words of the person he was talking to. He danced and danced to himself like this and didn't pay attention to anyone. They had no energy left, and at 6 o'clock the party said goodbye to Mia, her friend, and each of them went in one direction. But what her friend knew was that Mia was going to return home by bus. If he could walk, he would have to take a bus or a taxi or something else. I really don't know why he chose the bus to go home, because he could get an internet taxi. I think there will be something like Uber in Denmark in 2022. Naturally, it should be like this now. 14 hours have passed since Mia said goodbye to her friend and went to the bus station, but there has been no news of Mia. Her family does not answer any calls they make to her. Call her boyfriend Matthias Holland, but he also said that he has not heard from Mia. Mia friend, he has not heard from her since the last time they said goodbye to her in front of the same club at 6 in the morning. Mia's father is now very worried because he knew his daughter and knew that the girl never worries him so much. As you can see in the photo, Mia had a very close and intimate relationship with her father. And this man knew that my daughter was drunk and alone on the street at 6 in the morning. Something must have happened to her, and she should go to the police to report Mia missing. They turn to the police and post a series of posts on Facebook and social networks asking if anyone has news about Mia to come, and announce that the police will start working very soon. I can tell you a little about Mia. Mia was born on September 19th, 1999 in the same city of Aalborg in Denmark, and she is studying nursing at the university. There is really a lot of information about Mia's private life. At least Google couldn't find it, and I found out most of what I want to tell you from her Facebook and Instagram. Mia's parents have a very good relationship, and Mia also has siblings, but I don't know the exact number. I just know that she has more than one sister. Mia's brother has a good relationship with almost everyone in their family, but with most of the people who are very close, her and her father have a lot of activities together. He always tries to keep his body in shape. He has experienced almost all kinds of sports. That is, he worked in gymnastics for a while in his life. He even worked as a boxer for a while. In the field of modeling, he has worked with several relatively famous brands, and I think he is really good at modeling. That is, he has his style, and he earns some of his income from this modeling. But apart from that, at the age of 20 in 2019, she works in a nursing home. On November 8th, 2020, she meets Matthias Holland for the first time, and after that, her love affair begins. One of the priorities in Mia's life has always been to live alone and become independent, and she has been for some time now. He was living independently. He got the key to his new house, and when the events of this case happened and Mia went missing, he had just moved to his new house. That is, the house was not even complete yet, so much so that this girl still had a taste for him. Now it has been 26 hours since Mia. The last time she was seen, it has passed, and the police managed to find the CCTV footage that recorded Mia's last presence. It was 9 in the morning. Mia was standing at Westboro Station, number 99, and waiting for the bus. The weather was very cold, and she was wearing little clothes. Mia was really freezing until a black car stopped in front of her. She rolled down the window and started talking to Mia. After a long conversation, Mia went and got into that car. It is not clear what they said to each other, but it is clear that Mia, that driver, didn't want to hold her and give her a ride, and he volunteered to take her and gave her a ride. Mr. Frank Olson is the head of the investigation of this case, and he says that it is clear that this driver comes first and talks to Mia, and probably because he was cold, he suggests to Mia that they go. It's because there were many illegal taxis due to the high tax they paid for taxis in Denmark at that time, cars that were not taxis but worked as taxis, and the people of that city knew that this was the case. That is, they knew that there were going to be a series of taxis in the city that looked like taxis. But the problem was that you couldn't see the license plate of that car from the camera. If they knew the license plate number, they could easily go and talk to the driver. It is possible that he was not around that night, and that way he could have filtered everyone down to 1 or 2 people and be able to identify them as suspects in the case. In the end, the police will prepare a long list of those who have such a car. It was almost difficult, but not very complicated, because all these cars have GPS, and the police could easily find out that they were not near where Mia was lost that night. Very soon, this list will get smaller and smaller, and it will reach 2 people each. 2 of them were using the same car. They had a 2015 Volkswagen, which 2 of them were using together. Both of them were using this car for passenger transportation. That is, both of them were illegal taxi drivers. The police brought them both for questioning, and it turned out that these 2 men, both 36 years old, are school friends, and this car belongs to one of them, but that one also uses the car. That is, 2 of them work on the car together, and now they are earning money from this car. Which one did it belong to you? And the person who owned the car says that the car belonged to me, and that way another person is crossed off the list of suspects, and the police is left with a second suspect. That car belongs to a man named Thomas Thompson, who everyone calls Tom Salche. Is an electrician. He is a major of the ground force. He has been working since he was 15 years old. He lives with his family. He is single, that is, with his parents and his family. They are considered to be among the upper class. They have several houses and villas in that city, and their financial situation is really good. The first thing the police do is, it was that he was going to check the GPS of Tom's car. They knew that Tom was exactly the one who drove Mia, so now they should only know where he took Mia. But they know that 4 hours before he took Mia's GPS, the car was turned off manually. But anyway, the research team managed to recover the GPS data and find out where Tom went that night. And it ends at the Thompson family's summer house in a forest area. And now the police are hoping that they might find Mia alive in that summer house. Maybe she is there now. Some agents are sent to that house. It was a forest area. They had to leave the car somewhere and walk a path to reach the house. They should find out about Mia as soon as possible and let them know. In the same way, in that forest path, the police dogs will find Mia's key first. A little further, they will find her head. This shows that Mia was running away from something, and the smart girl wanted to leave a sign so that if someone looked for her later, they would know that she had passed through this area. Because we can't say that something happened there. Mia done dropped them at a distance to show that if Mia was healthy enough to run away like that and was alert enough to show herself, then she must have managed to escape. The police now hoped that Mia had run away and hid somewhere, or maybe she's in the house, but they don't find her. When they go to Tom's family's house, which was empty at that time, and no one lived there, they see that Mia is not there. There was no sign of Mia in that house, nor were there any other locations that Tom went to that night. They knock, but they don't find Mia there either, until a few kilometers away from the summer house where Tom went that night, and Mia's belongings were found around. The police officers find a series of small pits, which it turns out someone has recently dug and dug again. After filling in that pit, they find several black garbage bags with pieces of human body inside, more than 200 pieces of human body, which is known to have been cut recently and not long ago. I really don't know how to turn a corpse into 200 pieces, and if it is possible to do such a thing at all, why should someone do this? February 12th, 2022, the police announced in a news conference that the pieces of the body that were found belonged to Mia Scott Hodgstone. The body of Mia was cut into 231 pieces, and the hunting knife was cut into pieces, and some of the pieces were destroyed in sodium hydroxide, as if he first wanted to destroy the body completely in sodium hydroxide and then decided to cut it into pieces. But the main cause of death was announced as suffocation and put them together. Those pieces were able to understand that Mia was probably strangled with something like a very thin wire. Later, experts speculated that the stun gun could be the strap of Mia's handbag. Why did you turn it off that night? Tom also says that I had a friend before that I met when I was serving in the Army, and that friend of mine is now working in the police department. And it bothers me too, because at night, when they go out for a ride, they turn off the GPS of the car. Then they tell him, well, at 9:23 in the morning, you turned on the GPS again. What was the reason for this card? That is, at that time, this person no longer follows you. He says that no, he does not. I wanted to come home at the time of Mach, and he didn't follow me anymore. From the GPS turning off and on time, it is clear that whatever happened to Mia was between 9 a.m. and 6 a.m. The Danish judicial system is a bit different. Things happen faster in it. For example, America is where it takes a few years to form a court. How many years it takes to make a final verdict. In June of the same year, 2002, the first Tom's trial will be held. And in this trial, Tom says that I always leave the house at night and I drive a passenger. This is how I spend my time, because I can't sleep very well at night. That night, when I saw Mia and realized that it was too cold, her clothes were not suitable for her. On the other hand, I knew that the next bus was going to arrive at 7:40, and it was only 6:20 at that time. My conscience didn't allow me not to take that girl. I went ahead and told her that I am a taxi. Now my car is not a taxi, but don't worry and come get in. Tom says when Mia got in, she started flirting with me and talked to me in a very kind way. When I realized that he wanted to be with me, that's why I took him to a playground in Hamer Camp called Hamer, because I wanted to show him something cool. There we spent some time together and played. That there is no one there. We had a relationship there. But in the middle of it, his behavior changed. He told me that I don't want to go anymore. And he started to run away. I was afraid, that's why I cut his body into pieces and buried him. And he says that at first I wanted to dissolve the body in sodium hydroxide, but I couldn't. Then I decided to cut him into pieces. He hit me once and said that he didn't visit me at all. When we wanted to go to the same camp, Hamer, the moment Mia got out of the car, he fell on the ground. Another time he said no. We had a relationship, then he ran away. He fell on another place. He keeps saying that Mia fell to the ground, but he changes how and where he fell. Even at first in his interrogations, he said that I took Mia to her house, but I wanted the car to get off there. Her head hit the courtroom, the police officers, and all the experts. They don't believe a single word she says. For several reasons. The first reason is that everyone who knew Mia knew that Mia is not the kind of person who would get into a car at that time and want to talk to the driver very intimately, for example, give the driver a feeling, for him to understand that he wants to be with her. Now it's true. You can't really say that. It's not clear that everyone is in their own privacy, where, for example, their acquaintances don't see how they behave. It's really impossible to say that a girl will never do such and such a thing, but something else is the general character of everyone. There is another saying that everyone is surprised when they talk about a person. For example, the moment when Tom says that Mia sat in my car and started flirting with me. Everyone who knew Mia knew that such a thing was a lie. Mia had a boyfriend at that time. Tired at night, she just wanted to go home, which means she had no reason to want to go anywhere with this person. Mia was cold. She knew that the next bus was going to come between 7:30 and 7:40 because they write the departure of the buses there. Through my application, I think you can track the movement of the buses and find out when they will arrive. Well, Mia knew that the bus is not going to come now, and she knew from before that there are taxis in their city that are illegal and do not look like taxis, so it is possible that she wants to think that the car that stopped there have been a lot of crashes in the taxi. Another reason why they don't believe Tom's words is that it was known that he had been running away from Tom in the forest for a while, and he had shown himself. So you couldn't say that they had an okay relationship, even for a while. At the moment, my third reason is that even though the body was divided into many pieces, they could understand that the cause of death was suffocation and not a blow to the head. In the end, the conclusion that the court takes from this case is the most terrifying part, a little ahead of Tom Bratton's life. I'm telling you to understand that he is much sicker than this. Just know that whatever comes from this person, now I want to tell you the conclusion of the court. According to the opinion of the experts, they understand that Tom turned off his car's GPS that night and was looking for a prey in the streets. He saw Mia. The conditions were favorable. He tries to convince Mia to get in his car. He tells her that I am a simple taxi driver. It's cold. You stay here. The bus won't arrive. And he takes Mia on board. He doesn't let Mia get off from the first place, and he forcibly takes her to that playground. And there was a very sick game mode. He wanted to do something with Mia. He probably would have let Mia run away now. You are running after her like a hunter. Otherwise, what is the reason that you like a girl at all? Okay, that girl also showed you the green light. What is the reason? At 6 o'clock in the morning, Varder is going to take her to a playground. Take her to a playground there. Tom probably tortured Mia after taking her to their summer house and wanted to rape her there now, but he left some time for Mia to escape from him. That's what the police believe. Mia didn't manage to escape. Tom himself allowed her, which means that this was a game that he was playing. He was letting this girl run away. She was having fun. She was enjoying it. And Mia also seemed to know that this game was an experience for her from the previous times. It happened that no matter how fast he ran, Tom was going to catch up with him, but the only thing he wanted to do was to leave something of himself behind so that later at least they would understand that this girl was near this house and died at the hands of this person. And one more thing. What they understand about Tom is that at 2:30 in the morning, that is a few hours before he came and picked up Mia, he was watching an awkward movie on his phone. He orders pizza and sweets himself and sends funny messages to some of her friends which again violates Tom's words that Mia fell to the ground and died by herself. Because if something like this happened and this person did not intend it in advance, naturally, at that moment, he is shocked. Because imagine that Tam is a normal person, he is not sick at all, he is not a murderer at all, and something like this happens to him. He hasn't gone, he's even happier than ever. Thomas Thompson, or Tom, is born on June 18th, 1985 in Falken Ostad, a small town in Denmark, and he grows up there. Tom had a normal life until a certain point. Since he got out of the army for a while and continued his electrical engineering course, he worked as an electrician in a company and was successful in his work and had no problems until 2005 when he did something that was really strange for everyone. He stops in front of the window of a girl's room and pours his sperm on the window of that girl's room. Then he knocks on the window so that the girl can see such a scene. He does this again, 2006. The other girl's name is Mary. This girl's name is Louise. And because of what she did to Maria, she will never go to jail and she will not be arrested at all. But Louise goes and complains about her, and they see, yes, her DNA is on the window, and they arrest her. It's interesting to know that when he is released in 2009, he will do this again with another girl, and everyone will understand this, and everyone will make fun of him then. That's why he will become withdrawn and lonely. And he has no friends, now except those who were at his workplace, and many. They didn't know anything about this. Her didn't have any, they friends. In fact, everyone from the neighbors already, they knew he was doing. Many of them ran away from him, and something that was very strange to me, especially that this is happening in Denmark, and I didn't think that the police there would want to help at all. It was that until that time, that is until 2022, DNA Tom was the 7 found at the scene of rape but they interrogated him only because of one of them. That is, he did not go to Priso, nothing, only an interrogation. In that interrogation, he also said that, well, I had gone to work to check the electrical system of that house, and probably because of this, my DNA has been there. Now they understand that Tom was the one who committed the rape. This is the DNA of this person who has killed someone, even now. They can't condemn him for those rapes either. Tom didn't have many girlfriends in his life, but those who were friends with him for a while said that at first Tom was very nice, but over time his behavior changed, and he had to speak his mind in the relationship. Otherwise he would become violent, and at all. I couldn't bear it. After Tom's mental evaluation, they announced that Tom is not competent to appear in court at all, and is completely in a state that what he does is not in his hands. Tom is finally accused of murdering and raping Mia, but he does not go to prison, and is admitted to a mental hospital. It is possible to go once every 10 months and evaluate his mental health again, if he meets the conditions to appear in court, and now he meets the conditions to be imprisoned and get the right sentence. Then they will decide on his sentence again. As I understand it, they say that he is probably not going to be released. He is going to stay in that mental hospital for the time being, and then he wants to get a sentence for a few years. Well, in the end, how long will he live? And he won't be released. But many experts and psychiatrists talk to Tom, and they all believe that Tom doesn't understand what happened. Not that he doesn't understand, not that he's dumb, or that he doesn't understand the feeling of guilt, shame, or, for example, that he understands the murder of killing a person and these feelings. It seems that the court's final diagnosis for Tom as an antisocial personality and lack of empathy for people is one of the sub-branches of being antisocial, and if he is released, he will repeat this again, that Mia is the 4th woman to be murdered in Denmark in 2022. Now, those cases have nothing to do with Mia's case, but anyway, this amount of insecurity in a place where everyone is talking about her safety is very, very strange. After the events of Mia's case, the police cameras, they install more security in the streets and build a series of safe houses for young people who now feel that someone is following them. or for example, they cannot get home somewhere, or they have a situation exactly like Mia's, they can go to those safe houses and they stay there for a while until they feel better. Later, they can call the police from there. And in general, the situation in Denmark becomes a bit complicated because people are really upset and say, why the police is not doing anything? How is it that someone can so easily, the with girl, do something like this? I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for your support. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for the next video. Goodbye.